A new captain has joined the ship of the All Progressive Congress, APC, in Zamfara State, and the cabin must be cleared for him. After the defection of Governor Bello Matawalle to the APC, the chairman of the National Caretaker Committee and governor of Yobe State, May Balabuni, announced the solution of the executive council of the party in the states. Buni also declared Governor Bello Matawalle the new leader of APC in the states, while further arrangements for new party structure is being awaited. Meanwhile, the state deputy governor, Madi Aliyu, and a member of the State House of Assembly, Kabiru Yahaya, are reported to have decided to remain in the opposition People's Democratic Party, PDP. It is now a case of strange bedfellows in the state government. Now, if a member of the State House of Assembly, one member, and the deputy governor, to me, the defection of Bello Matawalle carries so much weight. If you decide to go with all the 3 senators, all the members of the House of Representatives, and you want to go with over 90% of the House of Assembly, if just a member is staying back, I'm just giving that to them and the deputy governor. So for Zamfara State, it's from bottom up APC right now. Well,
Zamfara State has always been APC. You and I, of course, realized what happened 4 years ago during the election, where the APC lost in the court, everything that they won at the state level. So it's only befitting that when the governor is negotiating to go to another party, he must come with the strength and the power of the state administration. That the deputy governor is staying behind, I listened to his reasons, and I agree with him when he said he was not carried along. Even simple courtesy, either in his personal or official capacity, that was never told. Because sometimes some people tend to stay on principle. A lot of people will obey the governor, of course. That whenever you are taking us, we will follow you. But I thought that somebody with the stature and the pedigree, knowing the family that the deputy governor came from, or at least common decency dictates that should be informed, even if it's just 2 hours to the event. Because you and I know that while the defection was all over the news, the governor was still being coy in admitting that it's moving until about 48 hours to the actual defection. While some people, even the PDP, was denying that something like that will happen in Zamfara State. So I think the governor got a good deal. He has taken over the party in the state. They've dissolved the structure for him. It's now to model the party in his own image. And whether that will work in the long run, given the history of the former governor and the way they treated the issue of gubernatorial election, then everything is still open for the conjuncture that we're having.
The former chairman of the Northern Governors Forum, what's his name? Yari Abdulaziz Yari. He was a former governor, and he was in the opposition before now. And now that the governor...
Opposition within APC? It's not like he jumped to PDP?
Now that the governor have decided to cross over, effectively the governor becomes the leader of the party.
Yes.
Don't you see something wrong with that kind of arrangement?
Well, I don't think there's anything so very strange about what has happened.
Down inside.
Now, I'll get there, Ayo, because we all saw him before national television talking about unity within the party, as it were, giving the impression that there had been some kind of stakeholder meeting all the way up to the point, that Matawalle was, admitted into the party. So it would seem that all is well. But for those of us who watched very closely, you could also tell that he had certain reservations. Even while he was speaking, he kept, referencing differences in the past and then the kind of value that he thinks that the new man will bring to the table and all that. So you never can trust politicians. I think that the objective at the moment is to see how they build some kind of unity within the party. And once the cake is baked, as it were, they can go back and resolve their differences. I expect some form of internal wrangling to persist, because I don't think that Yari, who used to be the main man in that state, will simply cave in. Remember, Ayo, that
Yari was the governor for 8 years.
Yes, not too long before now, Matawalle had initiated probe of Yari, and that
he stopped his pension.
Yes, and
so that was
exactly, and you wonder if that is going to be swept, under the carpet and all that. I think at the moment what we seem to have is a piece of the graveyard. I expect, some kind of rumbling, but I think at the moment what they want to do is put up an appearance that all is well. And when they get back, at the point they want to begin to maybe allocate portfolios and all that, we'll see how Matawalle is able to carry every person along. If he fails, we could just have some combustion within the party.
You said something about the deputy governor, and I'm looking at the role of the deputy governor. And would you see it as an kind of oversight, or Governor Matawalle's attempt to undermine his deputy governor?
I don't think he's trying to undermine him.
Because why, if you are saying that he was not carried along, he was not told, he was not informed, I don't know, a massive move like that will determine the fortune and the destiny of
his career.
Yes, and the governor has failed to carry him along.
Well, you must understand that in politics, there's something we call layers of confidence. Maybe the deputy governor is not within that circle that the governor trusts amicably, to make sure that he can carry
out. Why are they always treated like that? Like
because that's what
there's no constitutional rule for them.
That's what the Constitution says. Your job is basically that of a spare tire. Don't forget the US.
So you are the mercy
of the governor.
100% of your governor.
Not 100%, but at his mercy reasonably. Because the governor cannot remove you, but can make you redundant. You understand?
The governors can instigate the State House of Assembly.
That's an instigation. But they cannot unilaterally remove you. You must still go through the process. But can make you redundant. I remember that the deputy president in the US, a vice president once said that give him death and give him vice president, he will choose death. Because he realized that he's dying slowly as a vice president. Basically, the job is to ensure, if you know the history of how the vice presidency came about, realize it's basically a shot in the arm to ensure that there is peace when you run statutes. But that's where we are today. I don't think this will be the first. And I can guarantee you, his own will not be the last. There will always be a governor who does not trust, or a president, as the case may be, who believes that his deputy is not trustworthy enough to be given certain responsibilities or to be carried along in a certain way without losing face. That's the tragedy that we face right now.
The Constitution is silent about the fate of the governor and the deputy governor, but the Constitution was specific, talking about lawmakers, that the caveats, I think the Electoral Act, and they've been precedent to that the only reason you can cross carpets is if there's crisis.
Division
in the party
within the party.
So for the lawmakers in the State House of Assembly, and we've seen this flouted over and over again in the National Assembly and in the State Houses of Assembly across the country.
And then now you ask yourself, why has that persisted? I think it's just because our politicians are a greedy lot. Nobody wants to test the law because it suits them. They all keep cross-carpeting. It seems to have become, part of our political culture, and that is why nobody wants to, deliberately pursue the path of querying what the Constitution, has to say about it. So it suits them. It wouldn't be the first time. It has become part of the norm, like GKB said. So whoever it suits, decides to, cross carpet, stroll in, stroll out, and all that. So it doesn't help anyone. Even with the deputy governor, we heard him talk about his reasons and all that. But deep down, I can tell you, it's not driven basically by ideology. You know, he probably has his permutations around what will happen tomorrow or next year. Yeah, it's possible. Remember, that guy comes from a very prominent family. The father used to be, you know, 3-time National Security Advisor to 3 former presidents. Ali Guzo is not somebody you want to toy with. He probably has, you know, had some conversations with members of his family, and they've looked at their permutations, you know, and they're weighing their options.